my channel. Today we're going to be talking about intentionally dating. A lot of videos I've made talking about preparing for marriage, rules about being married, non-negotiables, all those things is just getting us women prepared for being a wife and knowing what we bring to the table and what we should expect from our husbands. Now, when it comes to intentional dating, these are for women who are looking for husbands, who decided to commit their sexuality to God and focus more on looking for the mate God has in store for us. And we do this by being intentional with who we choose today, what we're hearing from them, the questions that we will be asking them, and really focusing on more of the partnership that we can have in longevity than the physical and attraction and lust that accumulates in the beginning. So here are 11 keys that I got from scripture as well as wrote down for myself as what I do when I intentionally date and the questions I ask and how I proceed in my dating experiences. 11 keys to learn while dating. Let's start. Okay. Number one is, do you and this person have the same values and beliefs? So you have to make sure when you're intentionally dating to find out the person's values and beliefs. Are they aligned with yours? Do you guys have the same religious practice? Do you guys have the same core values when it comes to what God you're worshiping and who you guys believe in? Do you share the same views on family, children, finances, and career? That's what you should learn in the beginning when it comes to values and beliefs. Let's dive into number two. Number two is communication styles. When you're intentionally dating, you want to know what you guys' communication styles are. Are the both of you able to express your needs, concerns, and emotions openly and honestly, or is there a lot of deceit and mischief and silence and just non-openness and no vulnerability? How do you guys conflict resolution? So this is when you start to learn how you guys respond to each other when you're in an argument. What type of language is being used? Is it demeaning? Is it respectful? Is it firm but still loving? You have to remember, you want the person you're talking to have their boundaries and know how to express and be, firm in their, expression, but you also want them to come in a gentle and respectful manner when they are approaching you about conflict. Because everyone doesn't agree about everything, so it's good to have those boundaries in place of how to proceed in conflict so that we don't cross those boundaries. Number three, emotional and physical compatibility. Do you guys support each other emotionally? This is something we should look at when we are thinking about, are we emotionally and physically compatible, should I say? And another thing we should ask ourselves is, do we feel cared for and understood and respected by the other person? So when we are communicating and we're talking and we're expressing emotional and physical feelings, are it being respected or is it being disregarded? Physical intimacy. Are you comfortable with each other when it comes to term of physical affection, intimacy? Do you share similar boundaries? Like, there are some people who aren't comfortable with PDA. There are some people who are. Do you guys both like to touch each other? Do you guys like to kiss each other? You have to learn these things, because if you're going to be with somebody for a long time and this person is uncomfortable with hugging you and touching you and kissing you, it could be something deeply rooted in there that you need to really adjust and look at, because that can affect you in the future, and it also can be some infidelity or pain along the road that they are trying to hide, because you have to be intimate with your partner, because intimacy is important. That's how you connect. Number four is goals and aspirations. Are your individual goals and dreams compatible? Do you see this person being able to build an actual future where you're going in the same direction? It might not be the same career, but it's the same mindset of what you want to establish as a foundation. Are you both clear on the vision and future that God has spoken to you? Are your timelines and events aligning? So, like, for instance, do you guys agree on the time frame of when it's time to marry, have kids? Are you comfortable with, getting a house before you have taken care of all your debt? These are kind of conversations you want to have so you will know how you guys are going to move and start planning and putting goals and set to target and hit them, basically. Yeah. So it's really good to know if you're aligned with your goals, because if someone is in the opposite direction of you, or they don't even have a goal plan, they don't even have an idea or insight, they're useless to move forward with, because that's not someone that's going to give you what you need. Number 5 is family dynamics in relationships. So when you're intentionally dating, you want to look into that by asking questions and examining how their behaviors are. And when it comes to like family interactions, how do they interact with each other and their families? How do they speak to their mother, their uncles, whoever? What kind of relationships do he have with their family? Ensure that you are comfortable with the boundaries and expectations that you have in place for yourself with his family or her family. So you don't want to be a part of a family where they're constantly disrespecting and walking over your boundaries. You need to have those in place, and he needs to also know those and have those expressed as well. Because if he's letting his family step over your boundaries, he clearly don't care, and that's something you need to also reconsider, because you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody for the rest of your life and his family continuously disrespects you and goes over your boundaries. It's just going to make you unhappy. Who wants to live like that? Number 6 is financial views and habits. So how do you both approach finances? That's something important y'all need to learn so y'all can know how to compromise and come together. Are you comfortable with discussing financial matters? So this person has to be comfortable with disclosing the good and the bad of their financial decisions that they made along the road. You don't want to be with somebody where you find out 3 years later they got a $50,000 debt that they've been hiding, because you have to look at, you're taking on a person and all they come with. So these like 11 keys I'm giving you are the things to look at when you are with that person, to examine, do they match your 11 keys? Because you're going to have your own set of 11 keys that you are as a person, what your values are, your family expectations, your finances, your habits, and you have to match it with theirs to see, can we come together? If you don't know this information, that's how you get in relationships where you with somebody you don't even know. So yeah, it's really important to understand that, because you want to make sure that this person also agrees when it comes to finances of what you want your future to look like. Because if this person wants to spend all their money and don't think about in the future that you'll need some money to lay down and not work for, then that's somebody you need to leave alone. Also, when it comes to finances, you want to make sure that you guys are agreeable and compatible when it comes to how to manage the money, spend the money, and how to grow the money. If you guys are not compatible there, it will not work. Number 7 is an important one, and this is actually learned through time, paying attention, asking questions, and actively listening. Trust and integrity. Do you trust each other fully? Do you feel safe and secure in your relationship? Do you both practice honesty? Are you transparent about your past, your current situations, and the feelings that you presently have? If you can't get these questions answered, and then you have to, once you get these questions answered, you have to watch the behavior and see if it matches. And if those are not like coinciding, the relationship will completely not work. Without trust and integrity, you cannot build a solid foundation that will have longevity. You will always have problems, you will always go through conflict, and you will always constantly be hurt, and you will find yourself in a stuck position for the rest of your life instead of elevation. So trust and integrity is important, and the way you learn that is through time and behavior and words matching and aligning with his actions or her actions, as well as if this person makes you feel safe and secure that when you're with them and not with them, you are able to be you. Number 8 is personal growth and independence. In the relationship, you're always going to have your own personal growth and your own personal independence. So you have to make sure the person that you're with understands that from your point, and also they have their own. You don't want somebody to come in and don't have their own personal growth and independence, and you don't want to come into the relationship without having your own, because then you are going to start being a nag or a leech to them, or they can be that to you, vice versa. So are you both able to maintain self-independence in the relationship? You see that by what? Time, dating, paying attention. How is this person responding to you when you are doing things that are not with them? or when you are late to responding to a message. How are they responding? Are they having an avoidant attachment, an anxious attachment, whatever attachment? Do you know and understand each other's emotional triggers, strengths, weaknesses, and insecurities? This is learned through conversations, paying attention, and also them letting you know. Because we don't know each other's triggers and that kind of stuff. So when someone triggers you, you have to be able to speak up and let them know and see how they respond and how they proceed. And this is how you understand if you're going to be able to personally grow and have independence with this person in the relationship, which is a priority. Number 9 is life with children. If you want children, if y'all plan to have children, how many children? What's the timeline? Are you guys going to be paying for their colleges? Will they be responsible for their own colleges? Thoughts about discipline, education. Is that important? Do you think that the private school is the way, public school is the way? Are you open to both? What about where you live? Are you wanting to be in a family-friendly community? Are you more interested in the city life and your kids going to the city school? Or you want to be on a farm? Are you interested in homeschooling? Do you have the adaptable tools and mindset and proper educational resources around you to teach your kids? Do we agree on timing and responsibility as a parent and roles that we play as a parent? I think that parent roles are always going to be intertangled because we're always going to have to pick up the slack for one another. One person can do this better than the other. It's all about compromising, but you have to know that when you are dating the person, what their thoughts on with having life with children, because when you have children, they're going to be a part of your life and you're going to be lifing with them. So how do they think they want a life with their children? Number 10, deal breakers and boundaries. Honey, I was not going to forget about this one. Deal breakers and boundaries are important for your partner to know and for whoever you're dating, who you're intentionally dating, to know, so they will know what the deal breaker is, what the cutoff is, what they know, what they need to make sure they don't do. Basically, discuss all deal breakers that will impact your future together. So discuss, like, for me, infidelity would be a deal breaker. Disrespect and placing your hands on me would be a deal breaker. Verbally abusive or stealing money are deal breakers. Gaslighting and blindsiding me, deal breakers. No truth, no honesty or integrity are deal breakers. You not being a man of your word is a deal breaker. A lot of those things are deal breakers for me because that all creates and builds a solid foundation. And if you can't stick to those things, then slowly, eventually, everything will unravel, and I'll find myself in a pickle. So I don't have time for no more pickles. What behaviors or circumstances would make you reconsider the marriage? Is it respectful for one another's space and privacy? That's another thing we have to learn about each other, is our space and privacy when we need it, the things we do during that time. Because even if I do have my own space, my spouse might be comfortable with knowing what am I doing during that time of space. That way he can be comfortable. It's all about just communication and just having that understanding for one another's heart. And when we understand that each one of us have boundaries on our heart and there are things that we have to do to protect it, when the next person comes in and we tell them about that, they should be willing to abide to those if they want our heart and they want to build a partnership and a lifelong time relationship. Number 11, how do you handle stress and challenges? So this is important to know with your partner so you can see their weaknesses and strengths. This is not a time for judgment and pointing fingers. This is a time for examining and understanding so you know where you fit in and where you and him can build and grow when it comes to those strengths and weaknesses. Once you start adapting and learning that of each other, you'll be able to help each other better, and we'll also be able to strengthen where they're weak at and maybe give them valuable tips and habits and practical ways to help them better that weakness, that not only is it helping you better strengthen them, but they're also growing in it. So just learning that and just learning how they respond to things. Are they a shutdown person, a lash out person, constructive ways to cope, learning how to problem solve with each other when there's difficulties and neither one of you know the answer, or who you open your mind to give information from, and does that partner agree? This is a good time to just really learn how to go through life with one another and deal with the real things that happen when it comes to stress and challenges and trials and tribulations, the ups and downs, and how to go through the valley or how each one of you go through the valley, and see how you can benefit and what you guys can grow from in that, and in that understanding. So sometimes in that weakness the both of you have, you can actually build strength in it, which is what I'm trying to say. So that's why it's so important to know each other's challenges and strengths and weaknesses in that moment. Thank you for tuning in. I hope these tips and these keys helped you when it comes to what to look for when you're intentionally dating, the questions to ask, what to pay attention to, how to respond, behaviors, and there's plenty of more when you get deeper into the relationship. But I think these are the 11 keys to know if the relationship is worth moving forward.